Welcome to my live stream. This is Kir Noel from How We Heal the podcast. I'm going to turn off the live until time starts, until we're right at the beginning of the hour. Okay, we're at the top of the hour. This is Kir Noel, medical intuitive, the creator and producer of How We Heal the podcast, and here doing a live stream to hopefully connect with this audience that finds me. I wanted to talk today about what's going on in the world and how it's affecting all of us. I got to listen to Joan Baez, an interview with Joan Baez on a podcast yesterday, and she talks about being able to find some peacefulness in her life. And she called it denial, to maintain about 85% denial, and then the other 15% we can be interactive and connected with the ongoing, whatever's going on in the world. I hope you can hear me now that I put the mic in front of my face. So, being able to connect now with other people, to create community, to help each other stabilize and grow and develop our lives in ways that continue to nurture us and keep us peaceful and grounded is what she was describing. But she talked about it. I think it was Nicole Wallace was interviewing her. And how that deniability of the world is okay at 85% of our being keeps things somewhat calm. And she talked about in her life, she was dancing to find that peacefulness and balance and happiness. So I've been doing a lot of things in my life to continue to feel safe, and stabilize myself, and not develop and allow to develop this kind of brewing fear-based thinking that's easy to do today. We're going to be talking about ourselves today. I'm going to talk about myself and some of my experiences where I've worked with people who are healing and working through medical conditions and having the supports they need to find peacefulness as they travel through something that is very terrifying. But it's so similar to, not exact at all, but it has a similar in urgency that I feel is our reality right now. We have an urgent need to find ways to stay tuned into our needs and to actively be available to support ourselves, to do things that help us stay in this reality that is around us and expanding greatly every day. I'm very astonished by the amount of things I see that are worldwide. And one of the wonderful things about online platforms like this is we can find each other anywhere in the world. There's so little that blocks us, and on some level, there's just the part that's disconnected in me, the part that is the separation from others, is just I haven't met you yet. For some of us, those parts that create separation are our ideas, our belief systems, that limit us, that create boundaries where they aren't needed. So I just want to talk about, the importance and massive importance of us all finding tools that help us to feel free and stable and grounded. Um, so I hope to, in this invite of listening to me on this live stream, to be inviting you to create a human healing community in your world, wherever that is. If you live in a war-torn climate, that's a very difficult ask, but it's a very real need. If you live in a comfortable place like I do, where the supports are just, in my backyard, I have nature. I live near a reservoir, there's water. The trees are blooming and starting to turn colors. I live in the Northeast. So I'm not feeling the burn in my immediate physical reality, but in my mental awareness, I can see what's going on. And it is not far away from me, and it affects people in every part of my life. So the tools I've found that work for me to feel free, to help me realize I have a voice and I can make some changes in my immediate physical environment, in my own being, in my body. These are tools I've learned in the course of over 60 years of living, and also realizing I needed a tremendous amount of teaching to get these tools. So yeah, there's this thing called life experience, which we could say, oh, that's enough. We're going to find what I need and the tools, and it'll be presented to me. And in my particular journey, it hasn't been presented to me. I had to go to the library and find it. So the tools I partake of every day, and I'm going to share them with this audience because I feel I value that I'm beginning this journey to make a community of people who are activating their own inner healer, who are finding and meeting the interior part of them that's so grounded and stable, and bringing that part into this moment, because that is going to change the world. And if we, and I look at myself as just one tiny drop of that, but if many of us find those inner strengths and bring them now, I know it will have an impact. I see it just that clearly as an intuitive. That's what I see. So what I do in this day, today was a good example of my ongoing maintenance, self-maintenance program with Kir. I watched him in uplifting, intuitive people speak. I'm not, I don't ask myself to be my own teacher. I'm not, independent of other people's ideology and awakening information. I certainly need that information. I need the flow from others. So I listen to some very, special people. I really like what they share. I like to invite it into my mind, let it keep staying in my mind, because it teaches me that there's something really unique about this moment and unique in me that helps me navigate it. I then looked for at the 15 minutes of news I do watch, so I see what the world's going through and I can maybe reach out and do something about it. Sometimes that's just a phone call, that's a communication, that's a post I make. I'm not going to stay silent in when I'm aware of what's going on. I'm aware of it, from the world issues to what's happening to animals in war-torn countries. I stay aware, and don't stay silent, and I don't stay inactive. I think my voice has power, and my actions have power. And then I get to work every day, and whatever that work is, sometimes it's just this my amazing medical intuitive work, which is literally helping people who have medical issues navigate them, and activate their own healing so that their bodies can deal with it better. And that goes from everything from the nutritional elements of life to the circumstances they live in, and the supplements and the doctors they should talk to. But beyond that amazing work, I also get to do things, either on my podcast or on this live stream, or in with friends, with family, where I'm just, we're having conversations. We're going to talk about the things that are hard to talk about, and we're going to find ways to navigate them. So I want to say we're here to inspire. I want to inspire people. I bring on guests on my podcast to inspire me, people who have generously donated their time to share their life story about how they find how they've been in their world, how they actively are themselves, which is very unique. Um, and what I want to invite anyone who does find my online platform to check out and be part of is the community part of this, which is to continually find a way to unify and stop letting others divide us. So how do we let others divide us? I would say, what does that mean? Well, when I hear language of the definition of people by race, the definition of people by economic strata, the description of someone as not a person from a specific country, therefore blah blah blah. And I saw that Seinfeld episode where they go yada yada yada. Um, separation is, when separation starts and continues, it's based on language that tells us we're better than someone else. Um, if we don't have a belief system that we are better than anyone else, you can't buy into any of that language. So the separation and anger and the fear it creates won't have a place in our being, won't have a home in us. Um, One of the most powerful tools for being connected to others and ourselves is a mind that's clear, a mind that's not consumed or hijacked by others, by ideologies that are negative and fear based. So, in my work with people doing medical intuitive training, doing intuitive training, we examine the way we think, we learn from it. The amazing thing about the fears I had growing up is that they became my greatest teachers. I became empathic and could communicate excuse me, easily with people who were struggling because I realized I was struggling and I was able to communicate solutions. Um, I'm sure this is going well on the stream, my coughing, but it's just what's happening right now. Mm. When I think about the tools I use every day, so I have a practice of meditation. It's an active practice. It's not a routine that I just unconsciously do. It's something I think about and I say, okay, now I need to like letting in all the good. So when we talk in my podcast, but when we talk to ourselves, we talk to each other, and all of us talk to ourselves. We all have this inner dialogue going on. It's about how do I use that information? Do I say, may I be continually have the flow and insight and awakened being in this body, bringing the most impacting, powerful message at this moment and what is needed at this time. May that happen. May I continue to stay open to that possibility and always ask for that connection. I'm asking for that connection is really what I do every day. I say, I'd like this connection to continue to flow. May I be of service? Show me what's next. What am I to do now? I like, I listen to some very uplifting people who are also going through this and who are finding in their voice the connection to the communities that they are part of and growing those communities. These are going to be really short live streams, 15, 20 minutes, so that maybe we can begin to find each other and grow this network. And if you're not here, it's okay. It means you're not supposed to be here. I think right now this is specifically for me today to remind myself that I can do this and I continue to show up for all these moments. We have this capability to just reframe all that's going on in our lives and externally and internally, looking for an alignment in it. And I want to say that what I see on the outside today and the parts of the world that are in flames, that are disturbed, that include my world, um, which does not surprise me. We're really viewing what's externally the externalization of what's going on in humans, what's going on in us, this kind of inner divide of and I don't like the words good and evil or good and bad, but the inner struggle of which voice do you listen to. The great parable is, the kid goes to the parent, and I'm sure you've heard this before, but it's worth repeating, and says, "So I want to be a tiger, or I want to be a dove, and how am I going to know which one I'm going to be when I grow up?" And the parent says, you'll be the one you feed the most. So in my mind's connection and light and beauty, it's because I fed that part of me I work to nurture and develop and grow that part of me, and she's not, in isolation growing all the pieces that need to grow to be here now, to be in this moment in history, and I love that I do understand that we are in a unique time in history. This is a very intense, unique moment, not unlike many times that everything kind of started to go apart and pull apart. And we can name half a dozen of them off the top of my head. Um, and even knowing that it's not particularly a comfort because some of the history of those falling apart moments in history are, and that was redundant, are very traumatic and very terrifying. And then something rebuilt and stronger came out of it. So, what I'd like to invite anyone listening today to do is ask yourself if there's something about you that you can strengthen to bring now. Is there something about who you are? And, we're all bringing, I think, if we are available to it, we're bringing parts of ourselves right now that do connect us. And I think the last time I spoke about connecting, I spoke about the various forms connection can be found in, including all the arts and comedy, which we're getting to see is so valuable to us right now, and comedians. Thank you, comedians. But all the arts. So if I'm bringing an art form right now to this world, or a beautiful part of myself, this intuitive part of me is incredibly fragile, vulnerable, and dynamic and large. And so it's complicated. And how do I keep bringing that? How do I now ask myself, so how do I turn the faucet open full? Because right now we need it. So that's my challenge right now. My challenge today to myself is, how do I open this faucet? How do I bring this voice? How do I open my heart to be more connected to many more people in all places in this world? Sometimes I sit and in my visualization, I see myself touching the lives of people all over the world with a kindness that is missing. It's just a moment, and it's a moment that I feel I give that full flow. So ask yourself that. Maybe even make a note in a workbook, because what I think, where I'm seeing myself in this and where I see this particular platform is, if we're going to show up here, if we're going to listen to each other, and I hope one day you'll write a note, a question. You have to subscribe to ask me a question, and you will get through. You just have to click on the subscription button on this YouTube channel, and it's free. But when we are connecting, when we find this time once a week, and I plan to be here again next Wednesday at 4 o'clock Eastern time, we can be doing some work to open that flow, to turn the faucet on, let out the hot and cold water, the part of me that's, I'm exhausted, I'm afraid, and then the cold water. I'm just, I'm relaxed, I'm not worried too much. I feel, in a way, I feel the denial is flowing. And let the mix and let myself be completely in this present, not giving any of my inner dialogue prominent voice, listening to it in a curious way, sort of understanding that I'm getting triggered, that things are my expression of my own inner insecurities and fears is coming out, um, and that I don't have to sit in that silence and fear. And that we can find each other and open dialogue to discuss how to work through anything we're going through. So next week I'll be here at 4 p.m. Eastern time in my YouTube studio, and doing this next piece of awakening. So I hope you'll join me in my awakening journey on YouTube with all of you. All right. And listen to How We Heal the podcast, which is on all the platforms. Subscribe, like, follow. If you have iTunes and you listen, you can subscribe. It's a paid subscription, and you'll get invited to special events that are only for my subscribers. So I hope to have you join me there too. All right. Thanks for today. Bye.